Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever part of the world that you're watching from. And welcome to this World Water Week's talk show, which will be all about how corporations are building a water-positive community. This talk show today is brought to you by the Walton Family Foundation, and we're very pleased to have you joining in here with us. Whether it's here in the room live in Stockholm, a very warm welcome to all of you, or whether you're watching online from home, it's good to have you here with this session with us. Not the least of which because we'll be diving into a very important topic today, which is all about the exploration of how companies, corporations, NGOs, and investors can collaborate more together to make sure that we keep, sustainable water practices at par and in line, at pace with the other corporate sustainability goals that we'll have. So we'll be discussing the importance also of collaborating in that effort, because how do we make sure that we put competition aside when we're operating in the same market, in the same fields, to really ensure that the higher good of, a sustainable future where we sort of tackle the issue of water security is still in place. So I'm very delighted to be here with you today. My name is Hajir Yacoubi, and I will be the moderator for these upcoming 20 minutes. And I'm very happy that I'm also joined today by a stellar panel of experts that can, help and guide us through this topic. So let me start off by saying a very warm welcome, first of all, to Eliza Roberts. You're the water lead at Microsoft. We're very happy to have you here with us.
Thank you, Hajar. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. And then also happy to welcome to the stage Shannon Quinn. You're the Global Water Stewardship Leader at P&G. Very warm welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
And last but definitely not least, on my right, we have Sarah Hoverston, Director of Business for Water Stewardship at the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. Good to have you. Okay, so I mentioned it in the introduction a little bit already, right? We're going to be talking about, water positivity, how we can work together, and specifically from like a corporate sort of view, how do we sort of bridge over competition and, work on higher goods that, is collectively important to all of us. But before we do that, when we speak about a concept like water positivity, it can be quite a buzzword, right? To one, it means the other thing, and to somebody else, it can be something entirely different. So I wanted to hear from each of you, from your perspective, what would something like water positivity mean to you? And maybe, I don't know, Shannon, if you'd like to go first.
Sure. So for Procter & Gamble, we're a large consumer products company all over the world, and water is essential to our business. It's we need it for manufacturing, all of our products. We need it. Our consumers need it when they're using our products as well. So for us, water positivity really comes to life as a vision. So we have this vision to help build a water positive future for one that really sustains people and nature from now and for generations to come.
Right.
And that vision helps, and water positivity, talking about it like that, really helps to create a succinct way for us to bring our consumers, our employees, and other stakeholders along on that journey with us.
Yeah.
And underneath that vision, the way that we're making it actionable is really by focusing on targets that allow us to restore water in water-stressed areas, to reduce water in our operations, and also to help respond to water challenges through innovation and partnership.
Right.
So we have those specific targets then set around water efficiency, reuse, recycling, as well as restoration, restoring water in these water-stressed areas, and then a focus on how we can also enable our innovations and bring water-saving technologies to the consumers.
Yeah.
So it's really a vision for us.
But I love what you're saying, because it's not just a vision, it's also all these things you put in place in sort of to keep yourself accountable. So can we monitor it? Can we evaluate? Can we track sort of where we're going towards? Eliza, if I would go to you, what would you say that water positivity means to you?
Such a great question. First of all, I just want to say it is so great to be up here with this amazing group of women. So thank you so much for having us, Hajar. Eliza Roberts, I work at Microsoft, and at Microsoft, we need water to cool our data centers and to operate our buildings across the globe. And so it's really critical for our business. And then in 2020, we set a goal to be water positive by 2030. And for us, water positive goes beyond replenishing more than we consume. So for us, it has 5 key pillars. The first is to reduce water use across our operations. The second is to replenish more water than we use across our global operations. Thirdly is to provide people across the globe with access to clean water and sanitation services.
Yeah.
Fourth is to engage in policy. And last but not least is to drive innovation.
Yeah. I was writing down what you said, replenishing more than you consume, because that's also a big paradigm shift. Oftentimes when we talk about, being in line with ethical, societal, ecological standards, we almost tend to talk about it as a sort of compensation for perhaps potential harm or extractions that we have. But you're saying we go beyond that, and it's even making sure that we replenish more than what is actually being used there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
also not just about replenishment, right?
Right.
First and foremost, always,
Yeah.
is to reduce.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Sarah, I mean, I would ask you the same question because, I mean, it goes to show that, there are so many different sort of ways that you can look at something like water positivity.
Yeah.
How do you look at it?
Absolutely. Quick context just for it. I'm Sarah Hoverson. I'm with the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. We're a nonprofit located in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And through our Business for Water Stewardship program, we work with corporate partners like P&G and Microsoft to help them participate in and fund water resilience solutions that are addressing shared water challenges across North America and increasingly internationally. I think the way we think of these water positive ambitions or goals, values, is this really delicate balance between these things of like incentivizing corporate participation. They're necessary to get corporates involved, ensuring.
How do you do that?
By having positive goals, water positivity goals, targets, others, and being able to speak to the efforts under such a banner as water positive. It's also important that then we are ensuring accountability and credibility of the movement. So when we say we're working towards water positivity or others, that we have ways to track and measure and hold organizations accountable. And then also in looking at that there are clear pathways and able to actually do the work and impact, and that when talking about these claims or these goals, that we're not restricting our ability to actually keep that end goal in mind, which is working on water positive solutions and water resiliency solutions. I think that's BEF's role, right? As we've heard, there's different ways to talk about targets and set targets and even operationalize them. And BF is working kind of across all of those different objectives and programs in trying to hold that center, that goal of water resiliency and water positive impacts.
Yeah, but I love what you're saying indeed about, keeping that clear vision on, okay, how can we sort of then leverage these solutions, bring them about? I'd actually love to hear more about that. So maybe if we can do that, because I mean, you've all stated so eloquently also like what the vision is when it comes to water positivity, right? Do you have any examples of like things you were able to do or specific regions or basins where you feel like you were able to successfully contribute to, water positive stewardship leadership in that sense? Shannon, would you like to go first?
Yes, this is the best part of my job, and love the action on the ground that actually is leading to the impact. So I guess just that this vision that we have and working towards it really helps us stay focused to helping to build this water positive future that sustains people and nature. And one of the key targets that we have to do that is to restore more water than is consumed during the use of P&G products in the watersheds around Mexico City and Los Angeles. And so in order to accomplish a goal like that, if you can imagine someone washing their hair with shampoo or doing the dishes, the amount of water that's evaporating or leaking out of their home, which is what we consider consumption, is enormous over millions of people.
Right.
So it's really necessary for us to be building in the community from the beginning. So a really great example, and it's continuing to evolve, is our work that we're doing in Mexico City to help to make progress against that restoration target. And really starting years ago with supporting Agua Capital, which is the Mexico City Water Fund, and learning, just starting by understanding the context, who the players are, what projects were happening, how it was all connected, and then building over time and seeing what role we could play as a corporate in the context. And so now we're not only supporting projects that help to improve, better manage, or protect freshwater resources in the Moctezuma Basin around Mexico City, but we've also started to get more involved and try to bring people together. So just a couple weeks ago, we had people from all over Mexico City and even parts of Mexico come across different sectors, government, civil society, other companies, to learn a little bit more about corporate stewardship, what did we mean? What are Agua Capital's goals as well? They co-hosted with us to start the conversation, and really doing that, utilizing the volumetric water benefit accounting guide, and kind of like being able to start to speak a similar language and get to know our program and vice versa, and bring others along. So it's just beginning, really. I mean, we've been doing this for a while. It's a slow burn. I think all of us know that it doesn't take a year or two. It's a long time to help build these collaborations.
Yeah.
So
but I love what you're saying there, because I mean, that's the thing I was referring to at the start. I mean, I mentioned rising above competition, because you have this, this greater good that you're working towards together. And I mean, you could see that from the perspective of, being corporations operating in perhaps similar fields or like-minded fields. But it's also about this, right? It's also about bringing local indigenous communities together, bringing civil society, governmental representatives, people from the business sector. So in a way, it's like all these different forms of collaboration that are needed, and also, exist as a result of bringing in these efforts. Yeah. Eliza, do you have any examples that come to mind that you would say were really good examples of water positive stewardship in that sense?
Yeah, I'll share an example of something that we're kicking off that we're really excited about.
Okay, tell me.
And I'll start first with a stat for those who are watching who aren't familiar. Roughly 30% of water that runs through pipe systems is lost to leaks. In some places, it's upwards of 40, 50, 60, 70. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they said in their municipality, it's about 70%.
Wow.
It's a staggering statistic. And so at Microsoft, we're looking to be a part of the solution here. And so we're partnering with companies like Fido to use AI and technology to help identify, prioritize, and repair leaks in municipal systems, so we can eliminate water loss, or non-revenue water loss, which is what it's called. So we started in London. We then funded a project in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States, and then in Mexico. But we realized that that work is important, and we're excited to track the results and share those. But we need to do more, because they're individual projects, and at the end of the day, we need to protect basin health overall. And so we're really excited to kick off a broader collaboration, a fund called Water United, with Water Foundry, with Fido, and with PepsiCo, that will help to tackle water challenges across the Colorado River Basin, which is one of the most highly stressed basins in the world, providing water to over 40 million people and 30 indigenous tribes. And so this fund will help to tackle water solutions in the basin, but really look for projects leveraging technology to do that, including non-revenue water loss, but also things like agriculture efficiency.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Sarah?
Yeah, this is great. We heard two kind of like programmatic or basin-wide approaches. I'll highlight a project story that is very much at the project level, and it's great. It's got all the things that we want. It's got coalition. It's got multiple corporate funders. It was a pilot that expanded. It has a lovely name. We affectionately call it the Toilet Project.
I love it.
But in 2020, there was a partnership that started with Pacific Institute, BEF, and Sensor Industries, which is a startup tech company, partnering with the California Action Water Collaborative, QAC as we call it, another great name, to launch a project in partnership with the corporate partners to provide urban conservation to help address water resiliency in Southern California. And the project with Sensor Industries uses remote sensor technology to source and toilet leak detection, source toilet leaks, and send real-time maintenance detection. If you catch the leaks in the toilets and you fix the leaks in the toilets, you can save somewhere between 12 and 15% of annual water loss on the buildings. So 6 of the companies stepped up in the QAC network and funded the pilot projects in Southern California. We very quickly learned and adapted and expanded with the help of these 2 lovely companies on stage. And we have now launched the projects in New York City, Phoenix, Arizona, and Dallas, Texas. We have something like 3,700 sensors installed across 17 buildings, looking at something like 18 million gallons a year saved over the course of 10 years. And I think the reason this is such a good example of a water positive community that started is, one, the organizations. you have research institutes and NGOs and municipalities and housing authorities and companies coming together with one shared solution and trusting each other to move forward. And then you had early support and commitment with companies that are willing to like take a little bit of a risk and see how this launches, so that then moving forward, we have others who can join in the fold and easily expand the project to hopefully more locations.
That's so interesting. I mean, I'm listening into what you're saying, and all three of you, a red thread, I would say, in all your answers is, bringing things together and working together. I mean, whether that's, I mean, as you also mentioned, Eliza, you had these standalone projects, but you want to do more than that. You want to sort of bring it together the way that you guys are doing in your work every day. What is it that is sort of preventing that from happening all around? Because there are still some roadblocks, like, for people not to do it. I mean, you mentioned making sure that people have early commitments, that, there's some risk taking, having courage to do that, trusting each other. Would you also say that those are the factors that are preventing that from happening right now? What can we do sort of to overcome those roadblocks?
Yeah, I think to overcome roadblocks, and I think under this guise of collaboration, right, Water Positive, I think there are two things. One is assessing where collaboration is actually going to increase opportunity for impact. And sometimes it may not. So honing in on the areas where we could really collaborate together to increase impact. And then it is such a focus of the relationship. And I think what we know about a relationship is that they are the best when they're authentic and we can trust each other. And I think being able to have trust in all directions, which is reducing some power dynamics between companies and NGOs and other organizations. And
when you say trust in what?
Trust that we're working, that we are all authentically working towards one aligned objective. And knowing that we can have that shared vision, there can be flexibility on both sides to achieve the same objective together.
Eliza, I see that you're nodding. Is that something that resonates with you?
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. I think one challenge we face is we have 40 priority basins across the globe where we need to replenish more than we consume. And in some of those basins, we've got amazing partners like the Bonneville Environmental Foundation who serve as matchmakers or brokers and can help us find projects. And so many of the projects we funded in the US are because BEF has helped us to find them, like the project that Sarah was talking about. But in so many other places, we can't find projects. And that's a challenge. And so really we just need to duplicate Sarah and BEF. No, we need more matchmakers and brokers in the space, whether they be nonprofit, for-profit, to help build those projects so that companies don't have to do it from scratch. When we're building a project from scratch in a place where we can't find one, it can take a lot of time. And there's so many other ways that we can be leveraging our resources by funding the projects that need our funds.
Definitely. So matchmaking right there. Shannon, is that something that you recognize? Are there other things that you would identify as sort of hurdles that we need to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, I think both those resonate. I think trust especially has emerged. I think it's potentially a barrier if it's not done right. Like I think it takes recognition that trust is important and building that up front. And I think you can make things efficient, but it's also recognizing that trust does take time and examples and kind of like proof that you're in it. But working through partnerships and making sure that we understand the context on the ground helps, I think, to move towards that trust and also break down other barriers. But I think another barrier is just different goals or different kind of languages spoken about water stewardship or basin health and like what it means to each of the organizations that needs to get involved. And so looking for ways to develop guidance to kind of do that translation and expedite the movement to understanding, which then also increases trust, I think is a way to go forward.
Yeah, and maybe because we're already almost at the end of the talk show, so I want to ask you all one final question, and if you could just so briefly is, we're here together now in Stockholm, and even the people joining in online, all of us are a part of, what one could call the global water community. So to say we each have a part to play. I mean, I've been mentioning collaboration and re-emphasizing it the entire time. What would you say that each and every one of us here should do in, our everyday work in order to sort of contribute to more, water positive communities being built, and good leadership there? Shannon, would you like to go first?
Sure. The first that comes to mind is really seeking to understand. I mean, being humble when you're going into a place, especially if it's for the first time, and understanding the context, but also understanding what's already happening and not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing.
So being humble and also being open to sort of learning more there. Yeah. Eliza?
If we need more companies and organizations to step up and engage in water and to set water goals so that we have more action and impact in the basins where we're operating.
Okay, so increase the numbers there, increase the volume of people that are doing it. Sarah, finally?
To stack right on that, then we need to figure out a way as a community to encourage and incentivize the companies to be able to take more risks and be more flexible and trust in us so that we can move forward on the constantly adapting needs that are on the ground.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I would say that that is a perfect summary and a perfect to-do list for each and every one of us here that has been listening in, but also to all those of you watching online. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to the three of you for sharing that. And I would say keep on doing the good work and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.